Hey everybody, and welcome back. I am Dr. Butler and welcome to the MD Investor Podcast. So today what we're going to do is be talking about whether or not money is a frustration for you. Is it frustrating you? And do you know why it's a frustration? What's happening in life to where money is something that's a problem for you? So that's what I want to get into this episode. So let's go. All right. I come across this situation quite frequently where people are extremely frustrated about money. And that frustration makes sense. All right, so in this situation, I come across often is that people are struggling when it comes to understanding money. And the money is starting to get to the point where money itself is what seems like it frustrates you. And what happens here is the frustration is you feel like either you don't have enough money, you're not making enough money, there isn't enough money to be made, or the fact that you feel like either spending it too fast or you just feel like there's not enough to go around. And a lot of times this stems from not having a proper plan for your money. That frustration is very valid though. But I want to put that into perspective because you got to think about money in a context that makes sense for anything else. So if money is not being utilized for what it's worth, then it's always going to be worthless. And having worthless money sounds really stupid, but it's true. Money can be extremely valuable if it's used properly, but you have to understand how to use it. So money's only purpose is to function as a bartering tool, right? So let's think about how our economy actually works. If I want something from you and I don't know how to exchange something of equal value, I have to give you something in return that has a stable placeholder to make up the difference. So for example, if you have a chicken farm and I would like eggs for breakfast, maybe I could trade you cheese from, my cows or something like that. However, if I'm not a farmer and I don't have cows, but I still would like to purchase eggs from you, I need something in place to say, hey, this is equivocal to what your eggs should be worth. And then you can use that equivocal money to go purchase what you would like. So that's exactly how money works, and that's the only purpose of its system. Money is only as valuable as the person who's holding it. So if I gave you money and you were homeless, if I gave you $100, even if you're homeless, that's not enough to buy a home. So that money is only going to have a certain amount of value. And if you were extremely hungry, then more than likely you can't eat the money. You're going to use the money and exchange it for food, right? Because that food is going to make you feel better momentarily. So in this case, I didn't teach you how to feed yourself or how to make more money. All I did was hand you a tool and you use the tool inappropriately because now you can't reuse it, right? So money comes and money goes. It's just like tools come and tools go. Like it's like owning a hammer for your tool belt or something of that nature. But in this case, if you have a huge tool belt and you have all of these tools on it, but you don't know how to use the tools, then what difference does it make? So if I gave you a giant tool belt and you're not a carpenter and you don't know how to build and you don't know how to set up anything, then that tool belt doesn't become very useful for you. And you're always going to struggle with it. And this is why a lot of people are having frustration with their money as well. The issue is that money is a tool that you're supposed to put on your tool belt and use it to build. However, a lot of people don't know how to build because it's not your fault. It's something that we're not taught. So if someone does not teach you how to build with your money, then it's not your fault that you don't know how to build. However, there's access to information and you have to go learn it. You have to figure it out. Because if you don't know something in life and if you're struggling with something in life, we live in an age of technology to where not going to figure out that information is extremely disadvantageous. Disadvantageous. Is that a word? I don't even know if that's a word. It is not advantageous. I know it's a disadvantage for you. I don't know if disadvantageous is a word. I have to look that up later. Anyway, you're putting yourself at a huge disadvantage if you don't go and learn the skill set. The issue with people who have high paying careers is once you are in that career field, you're only focused on that career. And you don't go and learn other skill sets that you need in order to function, thrive, and build. A lot of people get extremely complacent. You might go, oh, well, my job is easy. It's 7 on, 7 off. And when I'm off, I'm off. And when I'm on, I'm on. And yeah, I'm tired. And yeah, sometimes I take extra shifts. But what you make is what you make. How you live is how you live. You didn't acquire any extra skill sets to build you to the next level. And all physicians, all lawyers, all doctors, all everyone, there's always going to be a glass ceiling. And that glass ceiling, you can't break it unless you learn a new skill set. And that skill set could be anything. It could just be a communication skill set. Maybe you don't know how to do small talk within the business, and you don't know how to navigate within your healthcare group or within your hospital or within the C-suite. And because you don't know how to communicate, you'll never break through that glass ceiling. And another issue with a lot of physicians, especially with physicians, is that salary negotiation is difficult. Most physicians don't know about money and they don't know how to negotiate. So we're going to talk about negotiations another time. But as of now, we're going to talk about why money continues to frustrate you is because you're not using the tool properly. So let's talk about how you can actually use that tool to the best advantage that you have possible. In this case, let's say that the money is a hammer, right? This is what I mean when I say tools shouldn't frustrate you. I don't think anyone in life has ever gone to sleep and have been frustrated by a hammer. Like, you've never gone to sleep and you're like, man, I wish I had more hammers. If only I had more hammers in life, I'd be okay. Like, that's not something you go to sleep stressing about. That's not something that you get divorced over. It's not like you and your spouse are fighting and you're like, well, it's your fault. You spend all these hammers. If you didn't have more, now let's replace hammers with the fact that it's money instead. And then you'll realize that seems kind of silly. If money and hammers are equivocal, then why would you get divorced over it? Why would you fight over it? Why would you struggle over it? Why is it a frustration for you? And the reason is the same, is because there's no intellectual backing to why and how to use the tool properly. But if you learn the skill set, then you would be perfectly fine. You would know that moving your money from a bank to bricks is very equivalent to making sure that you have your money saved and stored somewhere where it still has the ability to appreciate for you or depreciate in the eyes of the taxes, and then still make you and save you money. So property in the eyes of the government is a depreciating asset. If something is going to depreciate over time, you can actually claim that on your taxes. Now, in the real world, property appreciates. Why? Because the property value goes up over time. The value of land goes over time. And then no matter what, the harder life gets, the more expensive it becomes. It doesn't go backwards, it only goes forward. So think about this. In 2008, housing became more, rent became more. A lot of people got kicked out of their houses, had terrible credit, ended up upside down. People had bankruptcies and stuff like that. Now, those same people can't buy homes. And usually that takes about 3 to 5 years for them to fix their issues to where they can be actually home purchasers again. But now, what if everybody was terrified? Now everybody's scared. Then what happens? They just rent. And now you're renting and you're renting. And now with inflation, rent is at an all-time high. A studio apartment in New York goes for like $4,000 to $5,000. An average rent in New York City is about $5,000. You know how much money you have to make in order to comfortably live in a $5,000 mortgage? Like, you can buy a mansion in other parts of the world. However, if your life is not in other parts of the world, you're not going to move, right? So if you're like, oh, I practice internal medicine at Cornell, or I'm a cardiologist at Cornell, I'm making, 1.8 million a year, or whatever it is, and then you're like, you're not going to move to Texas just to buy a house. No, you're going to continue to live in New York. Now, can you buy a house in New York? Probably not. But because 1.8 million is not enough. Like, it's not. Same thing with Los Angeles. Like, being and living in Los Angeles and practicing in LA, it is too expensive. Like, there are houses where it's like $1.4 million and it's literally like an 1,800-foot shack. Like, it looks terrible. It's on terrible land. It's in a bad neighborhood and it's expensive. And that's where people get frustrated. That's another reason why frustration happens, because the money's not used properly. Now, if it was logical and your steps and your approach to what you were doing were following a systematic approach and a systematic plan, then you don't have to be frustrated. And the reason you can eliminate that frustration is because once you learn the skill set, it's fine. Same thing with anything else in life that you learn the skill set for. I remember when I first started learning how to drive, I was terrified of always getting in an accident. And the thing that scared me most was transferring onto a freeway. So I don't know why it freaked me out, but like when you get onto a freeway and you're coming into the right lane and you need to switch over to a faster lane, that used to terrify me all the time. I used to put my blinker on like an hour in advance with the hopes that somebody would let me over and be nice. That's the thing about life though. Some people are hoping that someone will be nice to you. You're like, I hope my job will be nice to me. They'll match my 401k and they'll pay me very well when I retire. So what I'm going to do is I'll give you 30 or 40 years of my life and I hope that you'll be nice to me and take care of me when I'm older. That's an issue. You're hoping for someone to be nice instead of learning the skills that it takes to take care of yourself. Right? So it came with confidence and learning over time. So now it's like, I don't have to wait for someone to be nice to let me onto the freeway. I get on the freeway, I accelerate, I put on my blinker, and I'm gone. Like when I was 15, that was terrifying. But as an adult, that's not scary to me anymore. I never even think about it. Right? Like I feel like I could probably transfer onto the freeway with my eyes closed and I still wouldn't be afraid. Of course, that's dangerous and I wouldn't do it, but you get the point, right? The point is like, once you do something over and over, once you have the skill set, it's not something that you're going to be afraid of anymore. Money and using it properly is just another skill set. And once you have the skill set in your bag, then you're good to go. There's nothing that's going to hold you back. There's nothing that's going to stop you. All you have to do now is build. And a lot of people like to invest a lot of different ways. And for myself, I invested in almost everything. And as dumb as that sounds, I really did it because I wasn't sure. So if you're a religious person, then you would know that God told people to, cast your, I don't even know how to say it properly, but you wanted to cast your seeds in a lot of different places or cast your stuff on a lot of different waters. Basically, what you're doing is, I don't want to quote religion misproperly. It is improper already. I already messed up. But the goal is you want to try to see what works, right? Like if you're planting or growing something or building something, you want to cast things onto many different streams. And you need multiple streams because you don't know what's going to flow to you the fastest or what's going to work the best. Maybe sometimes there's ups and downs. Like even with trucking, there's ups and downs. There's times where the trucks are terrible. And then there's times where the trucks are great. There's times where e-commerce are slow. Then there's times where e-commerce are amazing. There's times where real estate is slow, like the rehabbing, the building. Sometimes it takes months and there's no cash flow back for it. And then there's sometimes where the markets are red hot and you can sell things instantly. So there's ups and downs to every single type of market because every market has a cycle. The same thing with the stock market. There's times where the stock markets are rising up and there's times where the stock markets like now are rising down, or not rising down, are falling down. The point of that means that no matter what's happening, you can move with the cycles. And if the cycles are in your favor and if you're comfortable with the skill set, you can build during any time in this cycle, right? So if things are going up and you have the right skill set to use your money during the up cycle, you will make more money. And then if things are going down, but you know how to reallocate funds and you know how to weather the storms, then again, you will be good. And if it comes to stocks, you can make money whether stocks are rising or falling. If you're trading futures, if you're trading options, or if you know how to buy and sell, do covered call, things like that. So all these kind of skill sets when it comes to the market, these are kind of things that we teach and go through so people understand what we're doing during any time of the market and during any time of the storm. So you don't have to be afraid of things like recessions or like, oh, the stock market is crashing. Great, I'm going to make money. Well, the stock market is rallying back up. Great, I'm just going to make more money. Like it doesn't matter what it's doing. The goal is to always be prepared and understand the skill set. And if your thought process is, oh, it's okay, I know, I'll just work harder and save more money. You can't save yourself to salvation. It's not a thing. No matter what happens, you're losing money whenever your money's not working for you. If your money is sitting in a bank and you're like waiting for rainy day funds, you're losing money. If your money is in your mattress, then you're losing money. Like no matter what your money is doing, if it's not to work somewhere, like I don't like holding on to money. So once I get money, it's usually spent very quickly. And when I say that is like if I get a large lump sum of money, I usually transfer it to another thing, So if I make a lot of money in stocks, then I take the money from the stocks and I put it in property. If I make money from property, I take the property, I put it into transportation. If I make money from transportation, I take it and I put it back into stocks. Like It's a cycle. And the reason is because you want cash flow. So in order for cash to flow, you have to kind of like cast it out and then let it flow back to you. And that's what I believe. And if you're structured in a way to where you take care of yourself as a business, whether you're a doctor doing like 1099 or if you're a salaried employee, all you have to do is structure yourself to where you understand where to use your tools. And once you start building, okay, so where were we? Sometimes the computer just kind of cuts out on its own. I have no idea. I updated everything. But anyway, where were we? We were talking about you casting your stuff onto multiple waters or multiple streams or whatever you like in the world. So if you really do like investing in real estate, then that's fine. You can stick to one thing, stick to real estate or stick to stocks. Or if you want to diversify and you want to be prepared for every single market, then move things around. It's all about how you're allocating and diversifying yourself so that you're always prepared, because everything has a rainy season to it, right? That's just how it works, no matter what. Even when you're planting actual plants, there's seasons where there's droughts, there's seasons where they're doing great and they're growing fantastically. In this case, whatever you want to learn, whatever you want to build from, however you want to understand how money works, you just need to understand the skill sets. So there's levels to it. So when we're talking about the basic levels of understanding money, you have to understand the basic levels. So you have to understand financial literacy. You have to understand the core principles of financial literacy. And once you get the core principles, then you can expand upon it. So it's like, I can't tell you to go read the encyclopedia if you don't know the ABCs and you don't know how to read. But it's the same thing with money. If you don't understand the tools, then maybe we need to go down and break down the tools first. What do you have? What are you working with? How's everything set up? How's everything structured? In this case, if you need direct help, then we offer kind of things like that. But the goal is understanding the basics. Go to the fundamentals. Understand what you're doing with these tools so that way we can eliminate your frustration. It's like I used to do this a lot when I was tutoring in high school and in college and stuff like that. So sometimes I would have students who are extremely frustrated with something because they can't get through something. Most of the times it fall into like the math or science category. And let's say like we're doing organic chemistry or we're doing geometry or trigonometry, something like that. When I tutored, we'd always have to start from wherever you're stuck and then go backwards first. And then once you become unstuck in that situation and you understand the process, then moving forward, the process is always going to be easy. The issue is that a lot of times people are like, I hate math. It's not really something to hate. Math is just a subject. Like some people will be like, I hate math, or I hate chemistry, or I hate biology. I hate the reason you hate it is because when you're moving forward, there's something that's frustrating you. Like there's some kind of hurdle and you feel like you can't hop over that hurdle. There's a lack of understanding. And it doesn't have to be a lack of understanding. And that lack of understanding is what creates frustration when I'm dealing with students. But I noticed that the same type of thing transfers over to when I'm dealing with adults or other doctors or residents or whoever or my coaching clients. It's the same idea. You get frustrated and you're like, I can't move forward. I want to be able to do this. I want to go from A to B to C to D. But the thing is, you want to go from A to Z and you're currently stuck on T and you're wondering why you can't get to Z. So let's go backwards. Once we figure out what's making you stuck, once we figure out what's causing your frustration, and once we figure out why the money is not where it needs to be and how you want it to work for you, then we can get you unstuck. Then we can get you moving on the right path. So the whole point of this whole talk was to make sure that if money is frustrating you, if money is something that's always going to be a hindrance, if you're thinking about how can I retire or when can I stop this, or I've been working here at this hospital for 20 years and I'm still not sure how to retire properly, or should I retire now, or I work at, I don't know, a place like Kaiser and they're going to make me retire at a certain age and I don't think I have my stuff set up properly, or if I do have to retire, what am I going to do for money if I'm bored, or do I have to go get another job? There are doctors who think like that all the time. There are practitioners who think like that all the time. I've seen it. I've talked to them. I've heard their complaints and stuff like that, and then I help them through that process because it's a reality. People are struggling with certain things, and we have to find out from steps A to Z where you're stuck. And once we get you unstuck, we can get you moving in the right direction. As always, I hope this has been helpful. I hope that we can get over your money frustrations and get you moving in the right direction. Focus on the core principles if that's what's struggling with you. So if you don't understand the core principles, go back and watch the other episodes on the core principles. Understand the 6 core principles of financial literacy. And once you get the basics, then we can start building, then we can start scaling, then we can start making true money. And that true money is only going to happen when you're ready to receive it. So in this case, I always wish you guys the best. I'm always wishing you health, wealth, and happiness. If you guys need direct help or anything like that, and you either want coaching or you want to be a one-on-one client, even though one-on-one clients are really hard to do because time is delicate. So those items are a little different, but in this case, you still can apply for mentorship if you're interested. But head over to themdinvestor.com if you're looking for help, if you're looking for guidance, if you're looking just for free classes to where you can understand and get started, maybe how to build your credit, how to understand money a little bit better, understanding financial literacy better. Head over there and we'll get you on the right track. All right, it's always been a pleasure. I'm Dr. Butler. I'll see you guys next time.